All right, we're joined here with the new CCU head coach, Kevin Schnall. Coach, maybe first couple of weeks on the job have to be crazy. What has kind of maybe this roller coaster of taking over a new position been like?
It really hasn't set in because the last 2 weeks the focus has really been about three things. It's player retention, player acquisition, and then assembling the staff. So the truth is it hasn't really set in, but I can tell you I fill this seat with a lot of gratitude. I'm really excited about this next chapter and really looking forward to taking on this new assignment.
And for you, I mean, baseball, you've been playing forever. For maybe people who don't know, you played here, a catcher yourself here at Coastal. So yeah, I wanted to kind of ask you maybe things you've learned along the way. I mean, obviously you have a passion for baseball. So maybe one of the things you learned here at Coastal as a player, and then obviously maybe I'll ask when you moved on or you got a job here coaching. But maybe even just from Shonstons, how different was it when you were a player here, and maybe one thing you learned?
Really, I think what hits me the hardest or the most is I shared a dugout with Gilly for 23 of the last 27 years, and together we accomplished an immense amount of success. And I really reflect back, and the journey all started with a couple chances. I mean, the chance he took on me back in 1997 as a player to give me the opportunity to play Division I baseball, and then the chance he took on me in 2000, which kickstarted my coaching career. And the bottom line is, if it wasn't for those chances, I'm not sure where I'm at right now. So I'm forever indebted to Gilly for all he's provided me and my family. But to answer your question, I mean, what have I learned? I mean, I became the best player I ever was here at Coastal. I'm from the Northeast, coming down here, getting an opportunity to play at Coastal under Coach Gilmore. He motivated you and he pushed you, and he really inspired me to become the best player I could be. And then as a coach, what he's instilled in me is really three things, and it is standards, expectations, and work ethic. He had high standards for this program when I was a player, and then he held everybody to those expectations every day, and then he modeled it first. His work ethic was contagious, and he helped me see what it took to be an elite level Division I coach.
Speaking of, you said he took a chance on you here. What was that transition like, getting your first assistant job here?
Well, I was playing pro ball in 2000 with the Reds, and he called me with an opportunity, and I told him let me sleep on it for a week and decide if I wanted to retire from baseball and start my coaching career. And it really took 24 hours. I called him the next day. I said I'm all in. Retired from playing and started my coaching career. A lot of that influence also came from my dad. My dad was a coach, so he played a major role and was a very positive influence in my career. But coming back here to start coaching, between Gilly and another coach named Bubba Dorman, who was an assistant here, they really helped me transition from player to coach. And the big transition is being able to articulate what you want your players to do. And Bubba Dorman took me underneath his wing and really helped me see the game from a different side.
And then I saw you left, coached somewhere else for a little while, then came back. I thought it was funny. The year you came back was the year they went on to win the World Series. What was that like as your first year back in Teal and going on that far?
Well, listen, this place is really special to me. It was one of the hardest decisions I ever made to leave Coastal. But I played for Gilly for 2 years, and at that point I coached with him for 12 years. So I was part of Gilly at that point for 14 years, and I just felt like professionally, and I hate to say this, but a little selfishly, like I had to see something different. And I went to UCF. I worked under Terry Rooney at UCF, and looking back on it, I was lucky to be able to return here. But those 3 years were very valuable in me being successful in this role right now. I learned a lot at UCF. I got a chance to meet more people, to expand my network. So that was very valuable for me to return and be a better coach here at Coastal. And then, as you said, I returned, the luck continued in the sense of we won the national championship in my first year back. The most unbelievable thing that obviously ever happened to me on the baseball field. It was a magical run, but in a lot of ways as a staff here at Coastal is we're equally, if not more, proud of the fact of the last 24 years, the relentless consistency of this program. In the last 24 years, We've got the 5th best winning percentage in the country. We've got the 8th most wins in the country. And again, winning a national championship was unbelievable, but that relentless consistency is something that as a staff, we're probably more proud of.
Speaking of the national championship, I wanted to ask you maybe how you control or even what you think of maybe the fan base. I get the feeling we did it once, we can do it again. You know, you kind of get that when you're in the stadium. What do you use to tell players or coaches, or what do you motivate the guys in the future that we can do that again?
Well, I get asked that question a lot. It's like, how did Coastal Carolina win a national championship? And I think there's a lot of layers and a lot of factors that go into it. I mean, number one, you've got to have committed donors and a fan base to support your players. We absolutely do. This past year, we averaged just under 3,000 fans a game. The momentum and the community backing our program is as good as it's ever been. Secondly, you've got to have an athletic administration that is committed to baseball at the highest level. Certainly we have that. Look at these facilities. We've got the premier facilities in the entire country. We've got tremendous leadership at the top with our president, Dr. Benson. We just hired a new AD that we're all very excited about, Chance Miller. And then thirdly, you got to have great players. I mean, at the end of the day, you've got to have great players, and that's what we need to continue to do. We've got to recruit the best players that have the energy to fit in the Coastal Carolina way.
Speaking of players, what's kind of maybe the first steps on the recruiting trail now to get guys to return and then go out and get new guys this year?
Like you said, player acquisition is that's the number one thing. We're still assembling and finalizing our roster for next year, and then we're going to really attack the 2025 class. We've got a great nucleus coming back last year. Nobody's leaving the program because they love Coastal Carolina. They love this program. We're in a college athletics right now. We're in an area where you're seeing so many people that are jumping ship and transferring. We're fortunate at Coastal Carolina. Our guys don't want to jump ship. They don't want to leave because this place is so special.
One of my last questions here. I heard fans joking at the regional that they might coin Schnall ball. If that was a thing, what would that version of baseball be that you could coin?
Listen, I can't state it enough. I've been under Gilly for 23 of the last 27 years. His fingerprints will remain all over this program. His legacy will continue on. A lot of the things that we do offensively are a stem of what he taught me when I was a young assistant. I don't foresee that changing.
And then lastly, maybe just a word to Teal Nation on what your vision for the future and excitement to come.
Well, again, I'm very excited about this next opportunity, this next chapter. But the one thing I can say humbly yet confidently, the future of this storied baseball program is awful bright.